Okay, so you got in, you got settled and everything?
Yeah, I'm back in the house now.
Okay, well, man, since it's been a minute, man, I'm gonna jump right to it, and then maybe we can talk about some state of boxing stuff after we get down to the nitty gritty. But I find it interesting, and since you're the resident Naoya Inoue expert, I was like, man, I wonder what he think about this. It was an article I had sent, but it was a portion in the article that was raising a lot of eyebrows, and was something that Inway had said, and I kind of enjoyed it, man. It kind of showed me a little bit of his personality, and then I kind of already knew a little bit about Japanese culture and how sometimes the pleasantries is like almost disrespectful. Like sometimes they just want to be straight down to business. Like it ain't no, if you did too much extra, they'll take it as a sign of disrespect in some cases. But so I understand a little bit about their culture, so I kind of look at it and try to apply that. But in this article, I'm gonna read it real quick, and we're gonna talk about it, like just this section. It said when they was asking about Fulton's facial expressions, he said, I could pretty much sense what he wanted to do. I try to get a sense of how my opponent feels and what he thinks about my boxing ability in the first round. I thought Fulton's facial expressions showed it clearly. I could easily see what he was thinking. I don't know if it's because he's American, but he doesn't like getting punched in the face. Their boxing style is different from Japanese fighters who fight with Yamato Damashi, Japanese spirit. Well, I think there are some fighters in the US who fight like that, but probably not many. And I seen a lot of headlines. I didn't really get to listen to no response. I kind of let some of them go, and I was just kind of reading the script, so I didn't hear no voices, but I was kind of reading what they were saying. Then I seen like a few flashes of people saying a little things, but I didn't want to tarnish what you thought about it with my thoughts. What do you think about what he was saying?
Well, I look at it the type of boxer that you are. If you are an aggressive fighter that moves in to try to land the big punch, okay? Those things that Inway is talking about, you don't see that with the aggressive fighter. But when you have a counterpuncher, a person that likes to capitalize off of any mistake that his opponent might make, the facial expression on that person is a little different than a person that's moving in for the kill. The person that's the counterpuncher, he's watching, he's looking, he's watching what you do. His facial expression may be altered based on what you are getting ready to do and what he sees coming. Okay? So in a counterpuncher, you see more facial expression because that person is trying to figure out what he's going to do, how he's going to throw his next punch. Wherein the aggressive fighter that moves in for the kill, he's not thinking about what you're doing. He's only manifesting on what he's going to do, how he's going to step in, how he's going to hurt you. So when dealing with a counterpuncher, they always wide-eyed. They looking, they watching, they seeing, they looking at the big picture. They see everything. If you move, they move. Because that's the style of fighting that they do. And Fulton being a counterpuncher, I can expect that his facial expression showed everything that Inway was saying, because that's what you get in a counterpuncher.
Right. Yeah, that's a lot of insight right there. That's a lot of insight right there. I think that you're right. I mean, I could see that. That's a good little aspect to the game. I think what a lot of people were making, because it might be a technicality, because he said two different things. He said, I don't know if it's because he's American, but he doesn't like getting punched in the face. So he might have been saying that, but then the next sentence was their boxing style is different. You know what I'm saying? Where I guess they more like mano a mano. I just find it funny. Like, this is why I bring it up. This is why I was saying it, because I actually like it. You know what I'm saying? Not often we get anything from Naoya Inoue, but this was like the spiciest thing we ever heard Inoue say. And it's not really spicy, it's just the truth. For real. Because think about it. Whenever we hear about, you know, like, let's say the Mexican style, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of times they say, look, man, let's go. And they say mano y mano, or they say, a lot of people, you know, they say rock 'em, sock 'em, but they wanna stand in the fire, and they don't care. They'll take one to give one. You know, it's almost like that mano y mano stuff, right? But that's just one culture. But anyway, it's kind of saying, in a way, I think it's still an art as far as boxing. But I think he's on to something, because the aggressive ones, the killers like that, they're not, I mean, they calculate what could happen. They analyze, but they take the risk, and they calculated risk, and they just become so efficient at what they're doing that more than likely by the time they land and get their stuff off, they might take in a little bit of damage, but they're more in executing what they got going on, like you said. But they understand that they might get punched in the face. And I think it's really being seen here in these last couple fights. Because think about what's been going on with these last, like, think about the Shakur fight and the T.O. fight and the can't really say the Devin fight, but like that more defensive style now. And I'm thinking that we may be starting to develop I guess a identity to where we don't really want to fight, like engage with the big names. When you look at these big names and how they're being, it's not like Floyd, how Floyd was elusive and evasive, but he was still attacking. Like, he would offense to defense, he would transition. But now it's more like people are really embodying that hit and not get hit, where they almost don't want to get touched. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a common trait of a lot of counterpunchers. And when Inway indicated that Fulton doesn't like to be hit, okay, I think that when you talking about a true counterpuncher, the average counterpuncher don't like getting hit, because that's not their style. Their style is hitting and not being hit. So if they are being hit, that goes against the format of the formula that they're trying to ascertain in the ring.
Right.
So if they get hit, they're not gonna like it, because that's not the way the program is supposed to go. They want to hit and not be hit. So when he said Fulton didn't like being hit, I think that's true for majority of counterpunchers. They don't like being hit because they tend not to engage in a firefight. They want to pick and choose their shots and try to get them off as clean as possible and get away without taking any real punishment. So what he indicated about Fulton, I think that's true with majority of counterpunchers that's out there, that's in the ring today. You will see some of that same trait that he just said. You will see that throughout many of the counterpunchers in boxing today.
And that's across the board. That's not restricted to with your fighting background. That's just the counterpunching style, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so pretty much people trying to make a big whoop-de-doo about nothing. I think a lot of people, you know, we talk about it, we kind of touch on it every now and again. I think people kind of be reaching for straws sometimes, because the things that he's doing, it's a high standard. So if you're not really a fan, you'll find different ways to kind of like try to drum something up, because he really don't give you nothing really juicy that like most people hang on to. He just he going after his legacy. He don't even care about the awards and stuff. The only reason why this came up was because RingMagazine had gave him Fighter of the Year, and Ring Magazine was honoring him with an interview about it and asking him how he feel and reflecting on, you know, who was his toughest fights and, you know, how he feel about, you know, where he's going and things like that. You know, they just wanted to pay homage and sit down and talk to him since they gave him that award. He ain't even really, he always give all these impressions that it's not about the award. It's really about showing and proving that that man is the best man out there. You know what I'm saying? When he step in that ring.
Yeah, I believe that, you know, that's his philosophy. And I'm just so impressed with the journey that he has taken so far. And we as boxing fans who tend to follow Inway, we want to see him move up to the next division because, you know, with the success that he has had in the past, we tend to believe that this man will be able to move up and win another title. So him staying at the current position that he's in now, they're going to take a couple bouts. You know, some Inway fans, they're a little puzzled. They're like, why are you going to do this? The door is open for you. Let's go and do it. But I think that, you know, he want to keep things in perspective for a moment. He want to stay at this weight and gradually move into the next weight class instead of abruptly going directly into it. So I think that he's trying to get his body ready for the next weight class because he knows that this class might be a little more difficult than the previous ones that he's moved up into. So I think he's just being a little cautious and he's not being overzealous. And I think he's just taking his time with it. And the fight fans just gonna have to be a little patient because I believe that he's doing the right thing and that his team knows what's best and they're gonna approach this in the most sensible way and the most practical way that when he does step up, he's gonna be ready.
And I agree with everything. I would just change one word you said with another. You said cautious, and I will put calculated because I think you hit the nail on the head because he said that in the Fulton fight, I almost got the sense that he was saying in my words that basically like that was like the test right there, transitioning. He said going into the ThePulse fight, he was still looking at building the body of a 122 pounder. So it's science behind this, man. Them guys, man, they playing chess when everybody else out here playing hopscotch and hide go seek and ring around the rosy. He's playing chess. So he wants to develop his body, and I think that he has full intentions. It's just he's going to do it the right way. So I would say calculated instead of cautious because he knows and he understands those risks, and I think he know he the big bad wolf. He just want to go about doing it the right way, you know, because he got plenty of time and he's controlling his own destiny. You can't argue with that, you know what I'm saying? So I want to see him too, but I like the way he's doing it. Let his body get, because it ain't no rush. He's already trailblazing. And I agree. I think that right so far, can you really question anything? That's like when people making all the money and they doing this and this and that, or when people are doing all this legacy stuff and it's no money, no problem, it's no real issue with fights being made, and you know, it's no doubt that you want the creme de la creme and you're showing it and you're exhibiting it weight class after weight class. It's almost like, can we question what he's doing? I mean, until he really make a mistake, I think that we gotta trust in him. You know what I'm saying? We gotta trust that they doing and they know what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
People like you and I who have watched his career and we are impressed with his ability. People like you and I, we don't question him. It's the naysayers, those that still don't believe he is truly the fighter that he is, and that some still believe he's a hype job. So you're gonna always get the naysayers currently that's not gonna be impressed with anything he does. You know, some people are just so biased that they just believe that an American fighter, oh, I'm gonna just say a North American fighter, okay? Because when you look at the North American fighters, which includes the Mexicans, we in North America, we appreciate the U.S. fighters and the Mexican fighters. We appreciate them to a degree that is not shown to the fighters around the world that come from other nations. And because of that, there are many that's not going to accept Naoya Inoue as being pound for pound the best fighter in the world, because they just can't accept the fact that it's not a North American fighter. So, you know, for people that feel that way, it's a shame, because boxing is a worldwide sport, and everybody around the world that can show greatness, I think it should be appreciated and it should be accepted. And it shouldn't be with any stipulations on, oh, you did that, but wait till you come to America. You fighting, though, you know, it's always something that they're gonna throw into the mix that's unfair about judging this man the way he should be judged, only on his accomplishments and not on the foolishness of he's not an American fighter. So until he can be the American fighter and show me something, no, I just don't agree with a lot of the thought pattern that a lot of North American boxing fans had.
Yeah, in that regard, it's kind of thick, you know what I mean? But it's almost like, what I find a lot of times is like some of these guys, since they're not social and we're in a social media era, these guys not coming down and being on your show and talking with you and all that. They figure, hey, I can't make no money off you. I'm not talking about you. I think a lot of that go on, and a lot of people with the loudest voices actually have that kind of power to where they'll pick, choose, and refuse to talk about it. Or it's like, yeah, because it's no, like, it's very rare that he's gonna come on your show and do anything with you. You know what I'm saying? It has absolutely nothing to do with what he do inside the ring. But there's a couple guys that's like that, and because they're not out and about. I think Bud had got that stigma a while ago, you know what I'm saying? But you see what happened when he came out, and everybody was like, oh, that's how he is, you know, when he was doing all that stuff. But you're never going to get that. And I think that's part of it, because you got to actually be a fan to actually seek out. Like, once you know about him, you're going to seek to actually find out about him. But if all you ever hear every day, all day is about 3 fighters, it'd be like the same 3 or 4 fighters every day. They're not gonna pencil him in or schedule him in to actually talk about him and give him his praises, because they can't really like capitalize off of it. They can only go by when he actually has a fight, you know.
Yeah, but you know, I don't know what else that an individual that is a true boxing fan could ask more out of the performance of Naoya Inoue than he's already shown. But for some people, what he has accomplished is not enough. And these people, many of them, are hoping that he has a setback, that he has a loss. And then they can say, see, I told you so. But if this man loses a fight in a quest of moving up to another weight class, if he does suffer a defeat, you can't diminish the path that he's traveled already. Now let's face it. If he keeps moving up and keeps winning and keeps moving up, eventually one day he may not win. But I think that's true with every fighter that is great in his weight class. Once he move up from his weight class into another, and then move from that weight class into another, and then move from that weight class into, if one day he may suffer a defeat, but you can't take away the accomplishments of what he has done, because the amount of weight classes that he has moved through right now, there's not many fighters out there that's even made that journey into those weight classes, not alone actually being successful and winning.
Right. I already said, man, we already put out a public service announcement that there are some people in their careers and what they've already done and what they've shown, that Naoya Inoue being one in specific, that at any point, if he loses at any point in time, you can't say, oh, it's because he was a hype job. He's already accomplished and shown so much. That's why, you know, people might have thought I was mocking Fulton in them camp when I kept harping on it. I said, man, they keep saying this man's a hype job. I'm like, man, that's a glaring, that's almost like you see somebody riding down the road and, you know, they ain't got no air in the tire and you can hear the rim on the, like, that's like alarming. It's like, stop. Like, you can't go into this fight thinking that, man, you already behind on the scorecards thinking like that. So at this point in time, he is the guy that right now, I mean, he just got the Sugar Ray Robinson Award. Nobody even talked about that. Like, nobody even really even put that out there. It's like with all these other names on there, Andre Ward, Terrence Crawford, Canelo, it was a whole bunch of names that's on there. Like a whole bunch of like names where he put his name up there in lights at this point in time in his career. Because if you look at it, okay, what's his name? Nonito's going in the Hall of Fame. Look at what he did to Nonito. You know, people try to bring up some age stuff, and this was like, well, okay, well, certain fighters, whoever they fight, since they love Cougars, can't count none of them either then. You know, so I feel like he's one of them guys to where at any point in time, as he keeps challenging himself and moving up and still fighting the best, if he were to ever lose, you can't ever say it's a hype job, but he's past that point already. If anything, we at least need to set that barometer. He might not be your cup of tea. You might not like the fact that you got to get up early in the morning to watch him. But when you actually see him, he is a pure boxing fan, like a true boxing fan, he give you everything you want in that ring. It could be over at any moment, and more than likely, that's what's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? And he's doing it against the best. He's doing. So this is what his 5th weight class, where he actually had 4 titles, and this is the 2nd time we had double undisputed. He's getting ready to defend it. One of which nobody's really wanting to do. Everybody want to get it and then drop and go and make all these moves. He's willing to go ahead and do it. While everybody else is taking a victory lap and he's fighting somebody that they had been wanting him to fight. Somebody that, you know, he's a reasonable guy. I mean, he got a slightly checkered past, but that's a fight he's choosing. You know, and so I believe, man, he's doing what he need to do to accustom his body to 122. And I think, man, I think I see him going up to 126. Past that, it's like just depending on how they doing it. Because, I mean, I'm thinking, shoot, you can make one of them guys from 130 come down to 126 and shoot and came all the way up. So he'll have some leverage. And I think that's when we're going to actually see, you know, somebody at that point. But right now, man, he like a hot knife through butter, man. We just got to sit back and enjoy him. If you don't know about him, get familiar. But if you still saying that this man is a hype job, shame on you. Shame on you.
Definitely. He is not a hype job as far as I'm concerned. You know my story when it comes to Inoue. You know, I watched him years back, and I say, man, this guy is going to be something special, you know, because when we first had our conversation, and I told you about him, I had to write his name down so you could get the right spelling. So that when you look him up, and just critique what he's done so far throughout his career. This guy can fight, man. You know, anybody that talk height jump or this, that, the other, they're not really being honest about what they're seeing. Okay? The problem is they know what they're seeing, but they're seeing it from a person who they don't feel should be that good and don't want to recognize it. It's just a prejudice that some individuals have. I don't have that when it comes to boxing. If you are a good fighter, and I can see that, I give you your credit where credit's due. And that's just the way I look at it. Boxing is a worldwide sport, and it's not owned by any particular continent, which, you know, North America tends to seem to want to have the best fighters in the world. And maybe North America does, but it doesn't mean they have the only good fighters in the world. They're out there, definitely, and Inway is one of them.
Yeah, and I would say another aspect of it is, it goes back to what I was saying as far as the voices and how people get to know about them, because I can give you a story about me and how I got onto the Charlos, how I got onto them and how I started following them. But like I was frequenting some places and listening to some things, and because of the way that they talked about them, I had already developed it. I'm like, I was thinking, I'm like, well, shoot. And one day I went back and started looking at film and watching, and I was like, man, I started seeing they fights. I went back and started looking at him fighting this one, then him fighting that one, then him fighting that one. I said, man, in two different ways, man, these brothers are cold. I was like, man, I've been flim-flam, like, cause you can get caught up in it, man, depending on who you're listening to. That's why I say, man, you got to go by what's going on inside the ring. And at first, part of it is because of these lower weights. A lot of people don't even talk about the lower weights. You got to be like really setting the world on fire, which in a way is, but it's a lot of people over here that's they're not doing it, or they weren't doing it. And so my whole perspective was, again, looking at ESPN and saying, oh man, like, look at them doing this, look at them hyping this. And like I had been listening to Bradley and Max and all them dudes, and I just like, man, here they go. So he kind of got swept up into that. And when you said something about him, I said, oh, well, you said something about him, let me go back and look. And I got to looking at things and showing, I was like, man, this little dude is serious. And then I started the same way it happened with the trial. Now this happened with a couple boxers, but sometimes you can like how somebody's presenting it and their character and all that, but it's the sources. Because if it was more people talking about him in a glowing manner, or more on a regular basis, people will actually go back and look, but nobody's talking about him. And then some of it's because of the lower weight. They kind of blame it on the lower weight, but some of those lower weight guys can grab your attention. I think he's as far as like crossing over here, I think he's like right on the edge of it. Which is, I mean, I'm talking about on the mainstream when I like, oh, okay, where everybody's looking. People around the world know. Because people around the world know that not just us in the U.S. can box. Like, it's people all over. Like, some of the legends, like Lennox Lewis. Like, you think about Costa Zoo. You think about different people in different times and eras. You know what I'm saying? It was always somebody special somewhere. Look at Usyk and the little run that Loma had. Like, so the world knows. It's just over here, the people that has control to be able to speak on it, they don't do the justice. And they kind of sweep it under as fact, like, oh man, that's just what they call it, the paperclip weight. That's you talking about paperclip weight. They say stuff like that. So part of it is that. Part of it is just people are not really into those lower weights, and it's kind of hard. So somebody gotta like pull your coattail to them and say, hey, look at this guy, or somebody kind of got to be like, hey, check him out, and then that, from there, if you really do it, you'll actually see, you know what I'm saying, what everybody else see that know, you know what I'm saying, know who he is and what he do.
What's impressive about Inway and throughout his career is that, yes, he's a smaller guy, he's a good fighter, but his power that he displayed is so awesome. And we don't always see small guys that pack the type of punch that he has, and the way he stops opponents. And when you look at his knockout ratio, we don't see that a lot with the smaller guys. And when you do see a smaller guy with knockout power like that, you have to put him on a different pedestal. For example, like Tank. At being 135 pounds, and the way he knocks people out, when he hits people, he looks like he is a couple weight classes above these guys. The way he hits them and he puts them to sleep, it's almost like this guy is too strong for the guys in his weight class. And Inway displays the same thing. He just seems to have more power than the guys in his weight class. And when he hits you, he hurts you. And there's no surviving once Inway hurts you. Once he hurts you, and it's time left in that ring, you could pretty much understand that this fight is going to be over. You're not getting away from him, because he has a two-fisted attack. If it's not the right that gets you, it's the left. And then when he goes into his combinations, all of those punches are hard. And for a fighter that's already hurt, you're not going to get away. That's what happened with Fulton. When Fulton got up and he went back to that corner, and Inway came in, Inway just was throwing punches. And believe me, all of those punches had mustard on them.
Yep. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this before we wrap it up. Where would you rank Inway at when it comes to being one of the best finishers in the game? Where would you put him at?
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. Based on his record and his knockout percentage, okay, I have to put him at least, I'm going to say at least top three. At least top three. Because when you look at his knockout ratio, that indicates within itself that he is a extraordinary finisher.
Yeah.
Because he's got the best percentage out there in terms of stopping his opponents. So of all the fighters out there right now, he pretty much, he's top three. He's top three. As far as I'm concerned, top three.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew he was gonna be up there. You know what I'm saying? I knew he was. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Well, was there anything you seen recently or anything? What's been the vibe? We hadn't talked boxing in a minute. You know what I'm saying? It's just I don't be knowing who you want to talk about. But I seen your boy Keyshawn, man. He finally created some separation up against Pedraza. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I like to see that he actually sealed the deal. You know what I'm saying? He separated himself and ended the contest. He started barking up the Teofimo Lopez tree, and then we seen, that circus. But what vibe you been on as far as boxing? What you been seeing, and what you been?
Well, I'm interested in the Haney fight. It looks like, you know, we're gonna get Haney and what's
Ryan.
Look like we might be getting that fight.
Well, what's your thoughts on that fight? Looking at it initially.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, both of these guys has the ability to come away maybe with a win. But the way I see this fight going, okay, I think that Haney's boxing ability and his ring generalship will allow him to be more dominant in the fight than Garcia. I think that Garcia is going to get to a point in this fight where he's going to have to look for that left hook. And if that left hook isn't there for him, I think he's going to face the same type of punishment that Haney did to Regis. And I think that this fight could go almost the same way, with Haney just dominating the fight, and that his power, even though he don't have that knockout power, but his stinging power will cause Garcia not to be as aggressive. The same way he took it away from Prograis, I think he can do the same thing to Ryan Garcia. I really do.
But he got the skill set to be able to do it. But Ryan got a lightning jab too, so it's gonna be a fencing contest for a while. And I think what I see is, if I had to put my money down right now, I would say Devin's gonna win. He's gonna do it by points. He's gonna get up early and then coast and not make no mistakes. But what I think may happen is he's gonna back Ryan into a corner. Like he's gonna get Ryan to the point to where maybe it start getting out of whack point wise. You know, I don't doubt that Ryan can score with him. You know, and the way I see it is, people say, "Oh no, you can't count the amateur. You can't." I'm like, this is the way I see it. At that point in time in their life, they were around the same age and they were even. Devin has developed a little bit more, and we kind of seen him mature, but we've never seen Devin against somebody with arms just as long as his and the same stature and that got that kind of power. We haven't seen that yet. This is the first time where Devin Haney does not have all the advantages. And I think that Ryan, if he reach down in his pantalones and make sure that he still got some cojones, he might be able to turn himself up or force himself. Because I seen people want to criticize Ryan in this last fight with Duarte, but what I saw was somebody doing a retarded what they was calling it, the taco shell, because it wasn't a Philly shell. But he was doing a taco shell, and then something happened where he snapped out of it. He started moving his feet and he started moving around and moving his feet, and he gathered himself and he looked and said, okay, get back to the basics. He started popping that jab, and then when Buddy committed, bam, he was bringing in that hook. So I think it's going to come a point in time either where it's points or maybe, because Devin do like to get off to a good start, and Devin will come out and he do have a nice little body shot from a nice little range, so he can get up on points early. But I see him backing Ryan into a corner, and whether Ryan flips on a switch and when we really get a fight, I can see Haney just getting up early and coasting. But I think that's what's going to happen. He's going to back Ryan into a corner, and probably about the 9th round is when we're going to really start seeing a fight. You know, I think we're going to see a fight right around the 9th to 10th round, somewhere around there. I think a fight going to break out for real, because Ryan don't want to get passed around. You know, he don't want to be the resident. He don't want to become a journeyman. but I did see growth from him. I just wish the prima donna stuff and the social media stuff, we just the era we in. I just wish that when the fight is announced, you just go in dark mode and we don't see and hear from you, and you just hone in so we can get the best product. But you know, I mean, that fight, I was a little disappointed Devin didn't do the Sabril Matias thing, you know what I'm saying? Because that's the unification. He didn't do his mandatory. But we get to see him against Ryan. I just don't like how when Tank fought him, that was an exhibition fight and it wasn't nothing. And now that Devin, he foregone a unification to take this Ryan fight. And so I'm like, we get to see it. You know, we get to see it. But if that's something you're excited about, I guess I'll keep up to date with you and let you talk about that one. Oh God, that one that came out of the bushes for me.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you, when we dealing with the 140 category, anybody that's got something to lose does not want to fight Matias. What's going to happen? Matias going to have people fight him that's going to challenge him for his belt. And that these people are getting a chance for a championship fight. But anybody that's already of championship caliber, I believe they trying to stay away from Matias. Look, don't nobody want to unify. Now, he'll get a fight for his title from somebody down below that's getting a title shot. But don't nobody want to unify.
All of a sudden, don't nobody want to unify. No, unification? Like what? What is that?
Nobody want to unify. Because see, you putting too much on the line.
Oh man, that's what I like, man. That's what I miss, man. We gotta do one of these. We gotta get back to our once a week or something, man, where I just chop it up, man. Cause I sometimes, you know me, it be me, myself, and I ring. But that's what I miss, man. Don't nobody want. All of a sudden, don't nobody want to unify, man. That's the gospel, man. I'm like, Jesus Louise, man.
Not with Matias. You got people that want to unify, not with him.
Matias got the cooties now, man. Don't nobody want to play with him.
This dude is rough and tumble. Now, remember how we was talking earlier about counter punches and they tried to hit and not get hit? Mm-hmm. That's not Matias. Matias is built out of that rock'em sock'em robot mode. Yep. He's built like that. Either you gonna knock his block off or he gonna knock yours off.
Yeah, man.
That's his style of fighting.
Yeah, I always say, man, you ain't gonna need no GPS to find Matias, man. He coming for you. You know what I'm saying? He right there. He coming, and he can take, man. That man. I was watching some stuff today, and I'm like, man, I knew for a reason why I was nervous in that Ergashev, man. That man Ergashev hit this man with everything but the kitchen sink, and it just seemed like, okay, he took all of that. When he started rendering his punishment, it was a wrap, man. They say that man took the number 2 on the stool, man. They said that man, you know, had a number 2 on the stool, man. That's why he you know, and he retired since then. That man retired since then. That dude that was putting in all that work, he was hitting Matias with everything, man. I'm like, I don't know as far as longevity, man. That's what I'm concerned with Matias about. But he don't care, man. He Leatherface, man. That man Leatherface, man. On man. It's just something, man. He got the cooties right now, and like you said, the I gotta tries, the ones that's trying to make an attempt. Those are the only ones that actually have a desire to even try to get in there, man. Everybody else, they like, nah, I don't want to play with him. He got germs, man. He got the cooties.
Now, you know who I believe might step in to try to fight him because he want to try to get a title back. Prograde might want to fight him.
That's being mentioned as like one of the names. I think the third name that's being mentioned as the third name is Liam Paro, supposedly Richardson Hitchens and Regis Prograde. I gotta get more details on it, but that's what the word on the curve is.
Yeah, they, one of them might move up to try to fight him to get a belt, but there will be no unification. There will be no unification. and anybody moving up in weight class, because they talk some junk about maybe Tank moving up and fighting them. Hey, Tank got good power and all, but I wouldn't advise that fight with Matias. I mean, Tank is good, but I don't know, moving up to a guy like Matias, I mean, that would be a good fight, but it would be a tough fight for Tank. What you think?
Yeah, it'll be the challenge. It'll be a challenge that I want to see, man. I want to see that, man. I mean, I'm ready. I'm ready to see something like that, man. I'm ready for Tank to. I'm ready for him to. If it's gonna be this, I don't want to go on this seesaw where it's like I ain't gonna be boxing for that long and. It's all this red tape. I'm ready to see something like that. I'm like, man, that's legacy defining to me. The legacy's already going for him being able to sell out arenas and what he's able to do. He is the most accurate power puncher in the game. But I'm willing to see. I want to see that. You know what I'm saying? I think it's gonna take somebody that got a beard, somebody that can box and move, somebody that got. You gotta have more than just you gotta have explosive power, man. You gotta have a little bit of TNT. I'm not even sure now when I see T.O. power at 140, I'm not even sure if T.O. power at 140 will do anything to him. I think he would have to really catch Matias with something that he really don't expect, which means you would have to really be boxing and have a combination of where you've been setting it up and you just, you know what I'm saying? I seen Ergashev hit him with a body shot and had the ropes not been there, he would have fell down, but the ropes was behind him. I did see that in that fight, but he did come around and, like I said, make my man do a number 2 and retire on the stool. So you gotta have. It's gonna take somebody. It's a guy named Kenneth Sims Jr. I think he's saying he putting his name in the hat. I think Gary Russell Jr. He got the kind of power that you just can't. You can't. You gotta be on your A game in there with Gary Russell Jr. I'm waiting to see him. I think that Richardson Hitchens, he has the boxing ability, but then again, I don't know about the power. But you gotta have something that's gonna stop that, man. He's like a Benavidez, like you said, you put it perfectly. Either you gonna knock his block off, so you gotta have something that can knock his block off. Because if not, he gonna knock yours. So, that's how I see it, man. So he's drawing a lot of attention. You know what I'm saying? He's drawing a lot of attention. He's getting a lot of we'll see, man. I just hope Eddie do right by him, man. I just hope Eddie, because he can be over there, man, and we never see him in Devon. We never see, even though Ryan is on, that's all on DAZN, because it's a DAZN and Matchroom deal. So it's either the platform or with Matchroom. So he got options with Golden Boy, because they fight on DAZN. He got a lot of options, you know what I'm saying? It's just, like you said, man, Unification time. I mean, let's one of these young guns jump up and grab one of them other straps, like somebody else who wants to really unify the division. Unless that happen, ain't gonna be no unification, like you said.
I don't know. Tiafimo had made references that he would like to fight him, but we just gotta wait and see.
Yeah, we gotta wait and see. I kind of been hard on T.O. here lately, man, but it'll be a decent fight. You know what I'm saying? My thing is changing with these boxers, man. If I sense that a boxer don't really want to get in there and do it, man, it's like I'm not gonna have no energy, because nobody want to see what we saw when we saw Charlo and when we seen Mel and Canelo. Don't nobody want to see what we saw when we seen De La Santos and Shakur. Like, yeah, it's an essence to the boxing game and all that. I didn't mind the Jermaine Ortiz because that's the kind of fight Jermaine Ortiz had to fight to beat T.O. I just think he could have took a couple more risks and really, like, you know, really made a statement. I think that was his problem. But we don't want to see that. Like, if you don't really want to fight the person in there and they don't, you know, you just in there to kind of finesse, fans are starting not wanting to see that. We know it's part of the sport, and if you got a survival kit and that's where you come at, to where you got to do that to win, okay, cool. But on a regular basis, fans don't want to do it. I'm starting not to have no energy for people like that. If you want to always pounce on somebody when they're at their weakest point, or when they most inactive, or they had controversy in their background, and you basically plucking off the weaklings, I don't have no energy no more. You know what I'm saying? So the things and the people I'm talking about now is really starting to get really narrow. You feel me?
Yes, indeed. I hear you loud and clear.
Well, we're gonna do this, man. Let's do this once a week, and then I gotta look up what's going on with Inway and all that. I mean, I don't know if we still waiting on this Japanese band, Paneri, or what. I don't know. So I gotta get in the lab and look it up. But that's what I was waiting on, so we can start the series, because I don't want to start analyzing anybody and we don't got no fight for them, you know.
Yeah. Okay, then. Sounds good.
All right, then. Well, you have a good evening.
Yes, sir, and you do the same.
All right, peace.
All right.
Well, that was my old head K talking that good old Inway talk, man, and you could hear the precious jewels he dropped when he said, "Come down to Sabril Matiz. Don't nobody want to unify." Anyways, thanks for tuning in here at BodyWorkBoxing, where we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.